Listening section directions. This test measures your ability to understand conversations and lectures in English. The listening section is divided into two separate timed parts. You will hear each conversation or lecture only one time. After each conversation or lecture, you will answer some questions on it. The questions typically ask about the main idea and supporting details. Some questions ask about a speaker's purpose or attitude. Answer the questions based on what is stated or implied by the speakers. You may take notes while you listen. You may use your notes to help you answer the questions. Notes will not be scored. In some questions, you will see this icon. This means that you will hear, but not see. Part of the question. Some of the questions have special directions. These directions appear in a gray box on the screen. Most questions are worth 1 point. If a question is worth more than 1 point, it will have special directions that indicate how many points you can receive. You must answer each question. After you answer, click on Next, then click on OK to confirm your answer and go on to the next question. After you click on OK, you cannot return to previous questions. In an actual test or during this practice test, a clock at the top of the screen will show you how much time is remaining. The clock will not count down while you are listening. The clock will count down only while you are answering questions. Click on Continue at any time to dismiss these directions.
Listen to a conversation between a professor and his student. Hello, Michelle. Can I help you?
Hello, Professor. I was wondering if you had a few minutes to, talk to me about my essays.
Sure, sit down.
Thanks. Professor, you gave me a C+ on my last essay. That's the third C you've given me now. I guess I just don't understand what it is you're looking for.
Well, you're not alone, Michelle. I'm afraid most of the class is doing poorly this term. Now, I've tried to explain what I want you all to do several times now, but nobody seems to get it. I guess I'm a failure as a teacher.
Huh, I don't think so, but I'm sorry. Would you mind trying one more time with me? I understand that you want to see a clear, efficient development of a thesis and all that, and I thought I'd done it this time. I really did.
Have you got your paper with you?
Yes, here it is, right here.
Let me have a look.
Sure, here.
Yes, I remember now. Actually, Michelle, you have a very good thesis here. I like it. I just wish you could have presented it more effectively.
In what way?
Well, just look at your opening sentence. This is the first sentence that the reader meets. Most authorities consider the zygote the initiation of a new existence. Now tell me, Michelle, if the average person picked this up and started reading it, would they understand that?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I presume so. That's what I presumed when I wrote it, of course.
Of course, it seems short and direct, but you must remember that when you wrote this, you had been reading and researching your topic beforehand, I hope, but the reader is coming to this cold. How many people know what a zygote is? How self-evident is the meaning of a new existence? That's a very abstract phrase.
Yeah, I guess so.
Michelle, the writer's first duty is to his readership, and his second duty is to his thesis. Think of all the articles that you've read that have been built on flimsy arguments, misconceptions, or untruths, and yet they have become widely popular, have enjoyed wide acceptance because of the writer's talent at communicating.
Yeah, there are a lot of those. You want us to write like that?
Well, I certainly don't want you to be promulgating untruths. That's what I hope I'm helping my students avoid. But it would be worth your while to notice how some of those writers do it. The key to effective writing is know thy readership. Assess your reader accurately.
What they know, right?
Exactly. What they know and what they don't know. If you talk down to them, they feel insulted. They say to themselves, "Does he think I'm stupid or something?" And they walk away.
Well, I don't think that, that's for sure.
Maybe not, but your opening sentence borders on the other extreme. If you expect too much of your readers, you'll also put them off. They'll say to themselves, "What does he think I am, Einstein?" And again, they'll walk away.
Well, so what should I do, for instance, with this first sentence here? I can't make the grammar any simpler, can I?
No, but you can certainly tone down the vocabulary. Either that or define difficult or arcane words when you use them. But that usually slows things down. Anyway, you have to bring yourself and the reader to the same level somehow. That's what you should always be shooting for.
So I should define zygote right off the bat. A zygote, or fertilized egg.
That's the idea, but keep it short, or you'll lose the effectiveness of your opening. Why not just go ahead and use egg? Then you can introduce the more precise scientific term later in the paragraph.
Just an egg is.
Sure, it's strong and clear, which is just what you want in order to interest your reader. You have a whole essay to be more precise in, to get down to the details.
Then what about the rest? You said that initiation of a new existence is too
Too abstract. Okay, just tell me this. What do you mean by that phrase?
Well, it means, the start of a new life, a new living thing.
Good. Well, why didn't you say that in the first place? That's much more direct than attention-getting. It's expressed in a way that anyone can understand. An egg is the start, or the beginning of a new life.
But does that sound, well, formal enough, Professor?
Don't confuse formality with obfuscation, Michelle. You don't have to write densely to be formal, and Lord knows you don't have to use big words. You just need to avoid slang and casual language. And be sure that the grammar is standard. Write clearly, simply, directly. That's what makes a good essay.
Okay, maybe I've just gotten a better idea of what you're looking for now. Clear, simple, direct. I'll remember that next time.
Good. And I'll be looking forward to how well you succeed. I'm not adverse to giving A grades if they're deserved, you know.
Thanks for your time, Professor. I really appreciate your help.
Not at all, Michelle. That's what I'm here for. See you in class.
See you.
What is the main topic of the conversation between the professor and the student? According to the professor, what is the biggest problem with the student's writing?
Listen again to part of the lecture. Then answer the question.
Yeah, I guess so.
Michelle, the writer's first duty is to his readership, and his second duty is to his thesis. Think of all the articles that you've read that have been built on flimsy arguments, misconceptions, or untruths.
What does the professor mean when he says,
Think of all the articles that you've read that have been built on flimsy arguments, misconceptions, or untruths.
what is the professor's attitude towards the student? Why does the professor spend so much time talking about the importance of knowing your audience?
Listen to part of a university lecture by a professor of art history.
You know, one of the most significant movements in modern architecture and design took place in Germany in the 1920s and 30s. It was called the Bauhaus movement. Bauhaus just means building school, and the Bauhaus was an art school started in 1919. The Bauhaus program was the first model for our contemporary art schools, as we know them today. Its program was the first attempt to integrate the artist with the craftsman, and its philosophy was heavily influenced by William Morris, the great 19th century English designer. Morris's theory was that form should follow function, that art should serve the needs of society, that art has a social function. Of course, modernism in art had already appeared some time before this. The great expressionists like Vincent van Gogh, Edvard Munch, Marc Chagall had been working since the late 19th century. But now, the horrors of World War I, along with the poverty and inflation that followed it, caused the German art community to turn to what they called the new objectivity. The Bauhaus design innovations reflected this, with imaginative but very practical, simplified forms, with the emphasis on functionality and efficiency, and with the idea that mass production and artistic creativeness could work together. They were the practical planners for the modern lifestyle. The post-war government of the German Weimar Republic permitted a surge, an outpouring of radical experimentation in all the arts, but at the same time, Germany was trying hard to remain economically competitive with Britain and the United States, even though it was suffering financial privation and even though it lacked natural resources. The Bauhaus movement recognized these difficulties and offered solutions to them, and in this way it contributed to both social and artistic change. Bauhaus designs were pure and simple. The buildings, the interiors, and the furniture that the school created could all be built cheaply and efficiently. They emphasized straight edges and slim, smooth shapes, and a modern, hygienic freshness. In particular, the Bauhaus designers discovered steel. Steel furniture is cheaper, lighter, cleaner, and less bulky than the traditional stuffed, upholstered furniture, and steel has what they called the magic of precision. It can be used in precise, definitive forms and measurements. In spite of this emphasis on practical functionality, many famous, creative designs emerged from the Bauhaus. If we look only at their chairs, 4 very original designs were created at the Bauhaus: the Vasily chair, Le Corbusier lounge chair No. 4, the cantilever chair, and the Barcelona chair, and all 4 chair designs are very popular and are found everywhere today. The Vasily chair was designed by a Hungarian designer, Marcel Breuer, who was the director of the Bauhaus carpentry shop. It's made of a simple, cubical, tubular steel frame with canvas straps for the seat and back, and it has been in continuous mass production since the early 1950s. Breuer said he got the idea for the Vasily chair's design from the handlebars of his bicycle. Le Corbusier's LC4 lounge chair is probably the most popular and the most comfortable lounge chair ever built. Le Corbusier's idea was that a chair is a machine for sitting on, and this chair, which is greatly curved to fit all the curves of the body, is still a popular design in spas and living rooms. The cantilever chair was designed by Breuer and Mart Stam, a Dutch designer. It has no rear legs, but is supported by the tensile strength of the S-curve of its steel tubing frame. This little chair is still an extremely common design for kitchens and restaurants. And Mies van der Rohe's Barcelona chair uses leather or cloth straps to suspend its seat cushion on a folding, X-shaped tubular steel frame. His design became a symbol of the elegance of avant-garde living, but it's so simple that it's now seen in the luggage racks in most every hotel room in the world. The Bauhaus movement is not really important for its chairs though. It's important because it came along at the right time in history to popularize many key modern concepts of design. Many outstanding artists of that period lectured at the school: Le Corbusier, Walter Gropius, Mies van der Rohe, Vasily Kandinsky, Paul Klee, Laszlo Moholy-Nagy, Piet Mondrian. These great artists and their students were to lead contemporary design into daily life. Unfortunately, the rise of Adolf Hitler cut short the Bauhaus' exciting experiments. It was closed down by the Nazis only after 40.
What was the primary goal of the Bauhaus school? According to the lecture, what key aspect of William Morris's design theory influenced the Bauhaus philosophy? Why does the professor mention the concept of the new objectivity after discussing World War I and its aftermath? What is the professor's overall attitude towards the Bauhaus movement? Why does the professor describe specific Bauhaus furniture designs after explaining the movement's principles? What can be inferred from the professor's mention of famous artists who lectured at the Bauhaus?
Listen to part of a university lecture on world history. The professor is discussing Kashmir. As part of our survey of Asian political history class, I want to look now at a region that's been a battleground off and on for many, many centuries, including our own. I'm talking about the main bone of contention between two Asian nuclear states, between India and Pakistan. The United Nations official name for this geopolitical region is Jammu and Kashmir, but usually it is just called Kashmir by the press. Kashmir sits along the old Silk Road between the Middle East and the Far East, and through the centuries, it has seen many peoples and many rulers come and go: Greeks, Hindus, Buddhists, Muslims, Sikhs. Both Alexander the Great and Genghis Khan extended their empires through Kashmir. Its borders have changed over the years, but today it includes contested areas that are administered by China, India, and Pakistan, and it's been the scene of at least 3 border wars just in the late 20th century. Looking back, according to the Mahabharata, the great Sanskrit epic of ancient India, which was written between the 4th century BC and the 4th century CE, Kashmir thrived under a republican government during the great Vedic civilization of the 1st millennium BC, and in the 1st to 5th centuries of this era, it became an important center of Buddhism and Hinduism. Then, in 1349, the Swati dynasty, the first Muslim rulers, came to power, and the region then remained under Muslim rule for the next 500 years. We know a good deal about Kashmir's history because of a Sanskrit composition called the Rajataranjini, the Chronicles of the Kashmiri Kings, written by Kalhana. It's the first of a series of 4 works on the Kashmiri history, and it's considered by authorities to be a reasonably reliable one. It was composed in the mid-12th century, but it refers to earlier texts that, unfortunately, no longer exist. The Raja Taranjini records the period from Kashmir's very early traditional history up to 1006 CE. From this point, a second book, by Jana Raja, takes over and it brings the history into the Muslim period and up to the year 1412. The third work, by Severa, covers the years from 1412 to 1486. And then the fourth book, Prajini Brahada's Raja Valley Pratakya, covers the history to the point where Kashmir becomes part of the vast Muslim Mughal Empire in 1588. Over its long history, many of Kashmir's rulers have become very tolerant of all religions, but several Muslim sultans were not. And the most infamous of these was Sultan Sikandar Badishkin, who ruled between 1389 and 1413. He forbade anyone who was not a Muslim from living in Kashmir, and many of the Hindus poisoned themselves rather than leave their homeland or forswear their religion. Sikandar persecuted those who remained, and ordered all the temples destroyed, and all of their religious images broken, and consequently he gained the epithet of Destroyer of Idols. Anyway, the Mughal Empire endured from 1526 to 1740, followed by the Afghan Durrani Empire from 1750 to 1820, and then the Sikhs under Rajan Singh. You don't have to remember all these dates and empires, by the way. I just want you to get a brief taste of the cultures that have flowed through Kashmir. In 1845, the first war between the Sikhs and the British led to the Amritsar Treaty, through which the Sikhs continued to rule Kashmir under the paramountcy or tutelage of the British Empire. Kashmir, like several other areas of British India, became princely states that paid taxes to the British Crown. The princely state of Jammu and Kashmir was very artificially constituted because it combined different religions and regions and ethnicities. The accumulation of 2 millennia of successive civilizations, of Vedic, Persian, Indo-Greek, Turco-Mongol, Islamic, and Sikh cultures. The Amritsar Treaty held good from 1846 until 1947, when Mohandas K. Gandhi convinced the British government to give up their empire, and British India was divided into 2 independent nations, Muslim-majority Pakistan and Hindu-majority India. Both of these 2 new nations had agreed that all of the princely states had the right to choose which of the 2 new countries they would join. But even though Kashmir was over 70% Muslim, its Sikh, Maharaja Hari Singh, hesitated to join Pakistan. When Singh hesitated, Pakistan invaded Kashmir, and when Kashmir invaded, the Maharaja asked India for help. India agreed on the condition that the Maharaja chose to join India. Hari Singh agreed to this, and India sent troops into Kashmir and blocked Pakistan's advance. The state was soon divided into a Pakistani-controlled section and an Indian-controlled section, divided by what is aptly called the line of control. And although the United Nations asked for troop withdrawals by both countries, and although it asked for a Kashmiri plebiscite on the issue to determine the wishes of the people themselves, neither one has happened between 1948 and today. The only dramatic change since then has been the 1962 Indo-Chinese border war, which resulted in China's also claiming a piece of the Kashmir pie. And today, tensions remain high, and the threat of war, even nuclear war, persists in this volatile region.
What is the main topic of the lecture? Why does the professor mention the Raja Tarangini? What is the professor's tone when discussing the actions of Sultan Sikandar Butshah? Why does the professor briefly mention the various empires that ruled Kashmir before focusing on the British Raj?
What is the connection between the Maharaja's hesitation to join Pakistan and the outbreak of the Indo-Pakistani War? What can be inferred about the role of the line of control in the Kashmir conflict?
Listen to a conversation between two students in their dormitory during registration week. Hi, can I come in?
Oh, hi, sure. You must be Roger.
Yes, and you're Terry, Lawrence?
Yep. So we're roomies this year, eh? Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Well, I guess the first thing is, which bunk do you want?
Ha! Oh, I don't mind really. The top's fine. You can have the lower one.
Okay, thanks. I'll take it. I'm a bit afraid of falling off. I did that more than once when I was a kid. Doesn't hurt really, but it sure knocks the wind out of you.
Ha! Well, I'll try not to roll over in my sleep. Actually, it looks like fun sleeping up there. I've never slept in a bunk bed before, though. What's your major?
Oh, I'm supposed to be in pre-med, but I've been taking a lot of electives. I might change it. What's yours?
I'm just an Aggie. We've got a ranch out west of Houston, and I'm thinking I might become a vet. You're pre-med? Then you've taken Chemistry 121? It's a required course for me, and I'm not good in chemistry at all. Maybe I could borrow your notes.
Ha! Bonehead chemistry. No, sorry. I still have to take that too. Hey, maybe we could sign up for the same sections.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
When do you register?
Oh, let me see. Wait a sec. Here it is. 10 a.m. Monday.
Great. I register at 9. The Bonehead lectures are Tuesdays and Thursdays, and the labs are Monday, Wednesday, Friday afternoons. I can register first and then let you know which sections I've got before you register at 10. What times are good for you?
Oh gosh, maybe early lectures and a Friday lab? I think better in the morning, and that's going to be a tough course.
I know. That's why I'm thinking about switching majors. The science prerequisites are really awful, but I'll give it one more semester before I pack it in. You sure you want a Friday lab? It'll cut your weekend short.
Yeah, but I'm going to have a full load this semester, so I got to take something Friday anyway. Might as well be something I can cut.
Okay then. So should I meet you back here Monday about 9:30? I can give you my schedule then.
How about in the cafeteria? I'd like to get some coffee before I start. I'll need the energy, and it's handier anyway.
Sure, that's fine. Let's do it then. But maybe we better get a little organized around here. I've already put my clothes in the left-hand dresser. Do you mind if I set one of my stereo speakers on the corner of the right-hand one?
No, that's okay. I didn't bring much stuff. Just the basics till I know what I need. If I need that space later, we can hang the speaker on the wall.
And I took over half the closet.
That bookcase looks pretty small. Most of my stuff is books.
Yeah, I've got a lot of those too, and we haven't even got this term's text yet. Do you think we can get one the same size from campus stores and put it on top of that one? They've got a free furniture place there.
Well, we could at least run over and take a look. I'll bet the bookcases are all gone, though. They're going to be a popular item. Tell you what, I'll go over there after I see you Monday morning. Maybe they'll have an early bird special.
Okay, good. And if they don't, we'll just have to make do for now. Shoes.
Huh?
Where can we put our shoes? Where'd you stash yours?
Oh, there, under the bed. One advantage of sleeping on the bottom bunk.
Wait a minute.
Just kidding. Stuff whatever you like under there, too. Half is yours. Just got those 2 bags?
No, I've also got 2 cartons of books and junk coming later. I'll worry about them then. All your stuff here?
Yep, but I need to get to a drugstore and pick up some toilet paper and Kleenex sometime soon. Wanna come?
Yes, that's just what I have to do too. Get some toothpaste and stuff. Give me a minute and we can go together now.
Great.
What is the main purpose of the conversation between Roger and Terry? Why does Roger suggest meeting in the cafeteria on Monday? What is Terry's attitude towards the Friday lab? Why does Terry mention the free furniture place on campus? Why does Roger suggest waiting until Monday morning to go to the free furniture place?
Listen to part of a lecture in biology class. You've been reading about animal behavior. Today we'll discuss one of the most astonishing behaviors in the animal world, dancing bees. Did you know that bees can dance? Well, neither did scientists until the 1960s. That's when a German scientist named Karl von Fritsch noticed something truly remarkable. As he was observing honeybees, he noticed that some of the bees, which he called scout bees, flew out of the hive to look for food. When a scout found a site where there was food, it flew back to the beehive and started dancing. This dance somehow told the other honeybees where the food was, because after the dance, some of the bees flew from the hive straight to the site of the food. Von Fritsch called the bees that collect the food forager bees. He thought the scout bees' dance told the forager bees three things. First, the smell of the food it had found. Second, which direction to fly to reach the food. And third, the distance of the food site from the beehive. Von Fritsch won the 1973 Nobel Prize for this discovery, but many scientists were skeptical of his theory. They didn't believe it was the dance that led the forager bees to food. Instead, they thought it might be, the smell of the food in the dancing bee, or maybe that they just followed the scout back to the food site. Well, very recently, some British scientists used a new type of radar to prove that von Fritsch's theory was indeed correct. It is the dance that communicates this information to other bees. British researchers found that the scout bees perform two types of dances. If the food is near the hive, say, about 50 or 60 meters away, the scout flies in a round pattern, like a circle. This tells the location, but not the direction of the food site. If the site is farther away, the scout does what's called a waggle dance. It flies in a pattern of ovals and vertical lines. The speed of the waggle dance tells other bees how far away the food site is. The slower the dance, the farther away the food. If the scout flies in a vertical line up the side of the beehive, it's telling the foragers to fly directly towards the sun. If the scout flies vertically down the hive, it's saying, fly away from the sun. Up is toward, down is away. If the scout flies at an angle to the hive, it's telling the foragers to fly neither toward nor away from the sun, but in between. The bees have a special internal mechanism to know which angle they should fly based on the sun, the hive, and the food site. They can also measure the distance they fly by recording the motion of things they see as they fly past. Now, one problem with von Fritsch's theory had been this. It seems to take the forager bees a long time to reach the food site. That's why scientists thought that perhaps it wasn't the waggle dance that led them there. For many years, scientists couldn't follow the foragers after they left the hive, because they didn't have the technology. Just a few years ago, though, the British scientists solved this problem using a new type of radar. They were able to attach a small radio transmitter to forager bees. I don't know how, but they did. This enabled them to follow the forager bees' flight after they left the hive. The radar showed that foragers do, in fact, fly straight to the area of the food site. They don't follow the scout bee back to the site because the scout goes into the hive after it finishes dancing. Well then, if the waggle dance does lead the foragers directly to the food site, why does it take so long for them to find the actual food? The answer is that the waggle dance leads the foragers only to the general area of the food. It doesn't tell them the exact location of the flowers or plants that have the food. So the foragers have to spend a while flying around the area before they find the exact location of what they're looking for.
What is the main topic of the lecture? What are the two types of dances performed by scout bees to indicate the location of food? Why does the professor mention the skepticism surrounding von Frisch's theory? What is the professor's attitude towards the waggle dance? Why does the professor discuss the problem of following forager bees after mentioning the waggle dance? What is the relationship between the speed of the waggle dance and the distance to the food source?